So, I'll introduce you to our guest, Djamel. You are Senior Manager for Artificial Intelligence at Orange. You worked on Jingo, a virtual assistant, integrated to the 100% mobile offer of Orange in November 2017. And Xavier, first of all, you're an entrepreneur. Your company was bought by Match Group, that is the group that holds Meetic, and you've worked on Lara, that is a conversational experience, a chatbot. You worked on that in 2016. So to give more context to our public, can you introduce yourself, and can you introduce Lara and Jingo? Let me start with Jingo, so I'll let Lara speak first. Thank you for inviting me over to participate in this event. My startup was bought by the Meetic Group, the European division of Match, that is a leader of meeting sites. We started with a business case, very important, that is the acquisition of user, because our users, our clients, when they're satisfied, they leave. So it's not a very common situation. So first test, chatbot, inviting you to fill in a form, and it's almost counterintuitive because you have more steps, and it worked very well because the registration rate was superior than it would have been through a classical form. So we decided to focus on this project. We developed new languages, new use cases, inviting people to describe their ideal partner, advice services in all the marks and all the languages in all Europe. We have decided to provide our services in more than 10 languages, and the different languages is a challenge for us through different channels, Messenger, our sites, apps, and today we're happy to market our new function, vocal function, with Google Home and Meetic, and we've got more than 300,000 users on a monthly basis in Europe. Jingo. So more context, Orange Bank was launched by the Orange Group, and the objective was to be different from the online banks, creating the first 100% mobile bank. So all the banking operations can be realized through the mobile app. So no more bank agency, no more advisor. The point here was that all the operations will go through Jingo, the virtual assistant of the application of the Orange Bank app, allowing us to acquire new clients, and eventually Jingo will be your bank advisor, your virtual one, able to manage any kind, or not any kind, but the most common banking operation, consumption credits, etc. And Jingo is the one and only entry point of the bank. As a consequence, when you want to realize an operation, you have to speak with Jingo, who is the virtual assistant that was launched in November 2010. And until today, we've gathered more than 100,000 clients and 100,000 conversations managed by Jingo. In the conversation with Jingo, you can ask him to send money. I mean, you can ask him to realize money transfer and all these standard operation, and you can ask him to be your virtual bank advisor, that is to say, to realize all the operations that a human advisor would do. So this is the evolution of artificial intelligence, improving itself on a daily basis. The more you speak to him, the more he improves, and it manages, give or take, 100,000 conversations a month, and more than 50% of them are completely managed by Jingo without any human manual intervention. When you have a manual intervention that directs you to a center, and this is due to the legal framework. For instance, if you want to have a bank check, it has to be dealt with by a human being. This is the law. But at the end of the day, we want Jingo to be the bank assistant, virtual bank assistant, and the people who thought of this adventure thought that it would be dealt with through communication and through mobile device. So when you launched these bots, did you know the appetence of your clients of those services? Because at the beginning you spoke about a form, and then when you were offered to start this adventure, did you say, okay, we believe in that and we'll do that? Or did you have to realize studies in order to be convinced that it would work? Neither one nor the other. We are used to startups. We had no clue. We didn't have any market study at our disposal. So we decided to launch an MVP very quickly. And we understood very we that through improvement, we understood that the performances were interesting, in particular for acquiring new clients, new customers. We had the rate of success given the number of prospects. So the performance indicator showed that it worked. So why does it work? Do you think that somebody faced with a chatbot will tend to register on a service more than through filling out a typical standard form? I think it's not always one or the other. I mean, you always have to give the choice. Nevertheless, the results have shown that it is a good performance. Dating is a special sector. Maybe it's more intimate, and the fact that you have the ability to have a conversation is more engaging for the user. Also, the user can have specific requests, always thinking of going back to the registration process. Another interesting point is that without any technical intervention, you can change very quickly the process in order to have an ongoing improvement and to adapt it to your user's profile. So it matches our activity. This tool can adapt, can be customized to the user, and we can go quicker. So all this mix, plus the fact that people spoke about us, allowed us to be successful and to improve. Both of you speak about customizing the experience in order for the visitor to reach his destination. So do you have any specific features giving your chatbots personality? I'm sorry to say that, but I work in the banking sector, so we've got constraints that are very strong on us. So it has to be the one of a bank person. Jingo, and I'm disappointed about that, speaks as a bank staff would. So it has to respect all the constraints given by the legal framework, and it has to be, all the information given is checked for it not to cause prejudice to the bank, not to have any negative impact. But nevertheless, we're always trying to give it a friendly way of interacting with people. So our purpose at Orange Bank is to be disruptive, and being disruptive goes through providing our users, our clients, new services. And this virtual service is a service that no other bank offers in France. The second argument for launching this virtual assistant is because our ambitions are very high. We want to acquire 2 million clients within the next 5 years, and we work on a certain type of big data, and as a consequence we cannot manage 2 million clients only with human staff. We've already hired 300 people who hardly manage all the requests from 100,000 clients. So when we reach 2 million clients, it won't be possible to do it unless we hire 100 times more people, which is completely not feasible. So chatbots are available 24/7, which is not the case if you want to interact with other banks that tend to be open only from 8 till 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So this is the innovation for Orange Bank, developing habits and products based in particular on the best technology available. So chatbots, in particular in the customer relationship activities, sometimes we are faced with human counselors, human advisors who are just afraid to lose their job to the bots. So have you accompanied change with your teams? 300 people work for Orange Bank at the client relationship service, and the integration of Jingo within our system went smoothly because Jingo is considered as one of the 300 advisors. And the Client Relationship Center adopted Jingo very quickly because they understood that this chatbot could become the first counselor, because he manages more than 100,000 conversations a month, and also he's the one and only entry point of the bank, because if you want to speak with a human counselor, with a human advisor, you have to start first speaking with Jingo. So as a consequence, he's the advisor that manages the most sizable number of conversations. And as a consequence, all the human advisors work on added value activities, and the human staff, as a consequence, reacted very well when we decided to integrate Jingo. The client relationship service can manage the difficult situations Jingo cannot. For example, clients tend to lose their login information, and speaking with a human being in order to get this information doesn't have any added value. And our human staff prefers to work on more difficult things. As a consequence, there is a nice, smooth collaboration between Jingo and the staff. And our approach is always human-centered. AI is here to support human beings and not the contrary. The staff of the Customer Relationships Center want their own Jingo for their collaborators, always with the purpose to be able to give a quicker answer to the customers. And what about Lara? What challenges? Well, let me react to what you've just said. On the one hand, you've got the most common situation, the customer relationship activity, and we focus on one activity, that is when you lose your login information, and then the customer relationship service handles the rest of the situations. As a consequence, they also work with a chatbot that can manage some requests, and the rest of them will be managed by the human beings. Another project, not to replace human beings, but to offer a different service that is available through the app. You can look up someone through the app, but you can also speak with Lara in order to find your ideal partner. So through conversation, you can do many things, but for instance, you won't be able to speak when you want to look at pictures. You can, for instance, speak with the chatbot in order to find the right place for your date. So Lara accompanies the user. Lara gives the users the possibility to be as comfortable as possible in order to find the right partner. So it's a virtual dating coach. Yes. And how do you set up a team to do that? It seems to be very quickly done. How do you organize? Short term was for the minimal version of Lara. So setting up a team is a challenge. Our users, in a way, see many science fiction movies, so they have very high expectations. But keeping in mind the context, it is very difficult to match their expectations. So we need talents to reach our objectives. And first of all, we work with data scientists who can understand human language in order to understand the intentions of our users. Then IT developers, they create tools. And a new job, and I'm hiring, by the way, at the moment, what we called a chatbot ergonomist. So each time a sentence is said and the data scientist has translated it into machine language, you have to decide, according to the context, what to answer. So you've got conversational scenarios according to what was said before. It takes time to build these scenarios, starting with very simple situations when we know that we can manage the requests, and slowly, with the teams, we can manage better and better the users' requests. 6 of us work on it. 1 data scientist, a researcher, actually, 3 developers, 1 chatbot ergonomist, and myself, trying to organize the work. And at Orange Bank, presently, and we're hiring, so 12 people work on that, and I think we've got similar profiles. We need data scientists who can develop algorithms and technology. We need people you call ergonomists that understand the specifications, the characteristics of dialogues. A very important part also of the team are analysts who, on a daily basis, analyzes conversations in order to measure the intentions and their performance, the performance of the answer, and all the issues that are not covered by Jingo. An example that recently appeared on Jingo, we had to update the app in order to have new functions. But in Jingo, no intention had been developed about questions such as, how can I update my app? And through analysis, we understood that many people asked this question to Jingo, whether they were on iOS or Android, and we had to develop specific intentions in order to answer these requests. So the human capacity of analyzing is always necessary. We'll always have to measure the coherence of intentions, but all the questions that are not covered by your chatbot won't be automatically identified, and you will always need the intervention of analysts in order to identify these issues. And this is part of the ongoing improvement. So when we launched the chatbot project, we didn't have any datum available. So these synthetic data or data of synthesis, when the bank opened, we had to update many things in order to be in line with the way our customers express themselves and the issues they speak about in the conversations that are quite difficult to foresee theoretically. So I think when you launch such a service, it is always important to analyze on a regular basis the conversations and to understand where are the gaps, the intentions that are not analyzed, or the ones you have to develop in order for the chatbot to give as many answers as possible to our users' and customers' requests. So you measure performance. So what are the indicators your teams use? We're very practical. Lara, whose mission is to accompany the users when they use our services, from registration to finding the right partner, and each use case is interesting. The registration rate is interesting. So, for instance, what is your ideal soulmate? For instance, a brunette living in Nantes and opera lover. And we measure the number of interactions between users that are put in touch through the app. So the activity the chatbot induces, and for situations when you have more coaching, when we give advice, at the beginning we just start an evaluation. We ask the users to give a mark, and in each situation we try to have a KPI in order to improve our service. And for Jingo, the main point, the acquisition rate, the number of people who have registered at Orange Bank, and the rate of conversations that go 100% through Jingo, because when Jingo doesn't understand once or twice the same question, the discussion is sent to a human operator. So we measure the interactions that are completely dealt with by Jingo. Now we're around 60%, and the ambition of the bank is, at the end of the day, to have Jingo managing 80% of our customers' requests. So it's a very ambitious objective, aiming at reducing costs and mostly to support the objective of the bank to reach 2 million users, clients, and in order to do so we have to have a chatbot that is more autonomous and being able to manage a maximum of conversations. As I've said, 80%. Then you've got more detailed metrics, such as indicators of users when they speak with Jingo. Randomly, the client is asked to evaluate the quality of conversation with Jingo. So, and then we carry out marketing analysis, more classical ones, on social networks in order to assess the feeling of our clients after speaking with Jingo. And for instance, let's imagine a client registered at an Orange Bank client. On a monthly basis, how many times does the average client interacts with Jingo? It's quite difficult to have statistics because the bank was launched last November, so we don't have much experience in time. But if I just calculate, we've got 400,000 conversations, 500,000, 100,000 clients. As a consequence, 5 conversations per client, but it's just a very simplistic way of calculating. You have to take into account the profile of our clients. So we would like to have more information in order to understand better who is more interesting in speaking with Jingo and who is not really interested by that. Because the point here is to detect as soon as possible people who don't want to speak with a machine. They exist. You will always have people who don't want to speak with a machine, and it's pointless to try and retain them with Jingo if they don't want to speak with a chatbot and if they prefer to speak with a human expert. So we work on analyzing feelings and opinions in order to be able to redirect people who are not happy, who complain, whatever the reason, and who don't want to speak with a machine. But as I've said, Jingo is the only entry point, and some people directly tell Jingo, I want to speak with an expert. So although Jingo could solve their problem because it's linked with login information, etc., but straight ahead, between 5 and 10% people begin the conversation with Jingo saying, I want to speak with a human being. Is it the same situation with Lara? How can you manage the potential frustration of your users? Once again, I make a difference. I make a distinction between customer care, somebody having an issue and trying to solve it, wants this issue to be dealt with as soon as possible. And you have to do it right, seriously, and this is the task of the customer care team, and that's why we have chosen for the customer relationship service to use our chatbot only for login issues. So the chatbot, for instance, sends a mail to the user to help him or her log in. So this is a situation where a machine will have a very high rate of success. So when a user is not happy, we will choose mixed solution. As you said, when the user is not happy, we detect that and we react very quickly to put the person in touch with a human being for other situations, for registration, for instance. This is added value. It's something brand new. We offer the users something that wasn't possible. We suggest profiles. We always have unhappy users, and what is easier for us than for you is using humor. You spoke about the issue of the persona, and my boss said that the way you speak is very important. We tested something in France, a bot with a very cheerful Lara and another Lara with a more neutral voice. And actually people did prefer in France the cheerful Lara, whereas in Germany people did prefer the neutral Lara. So you can change the situation just changing the voice. Now, conversational experience for 2018. What are your projects? So I've just said something about the voice. We're starting that, so we'll get the users' feedback. And this will suggest a profile every day, a new profile to the logged-in users, and for other users, we will suggest a place not far from their home for a date, or to coach them if people are shy, for instance. Try and identify cases that would be interesting for our users. The voice for the channel and the basic objective is to accompany our users until they find their soulmate, always thinking of whether it is an added value from the user's point of view. And from a more technical approach, we do think, and we have to be very humble, but we focus on managing contents. That is to customize our approach, not only taking into account what has just been said, but taking into account as much as the user has said since his or her registration, plus other parameters in order to have a smoother experience. So this is connected with the architecture and technology we use. Okay, on the short term, we want Jingo to be more reactive or proactive, better said, because now Jingo is more reactive. You ask a question, Jingo answers, tries and finds a solution. And for 2018, we would like Jingo to be more proactive. Jingo will be able to contact you when it detects a possible issue, taking into account the fact that your account might be negative and offering you to transfer money from an account to another. Also with coaching schemes, offering consumer credits, different services. So the issue here being focused on being proactive and offering services. Many different things can be done with artificial intelligence because we can analyze a big volume of data and understand many different situations. And on the longer term, the ambition is to have a virtual financial coach that knows you after you accept this offer and offering you customized services as a human being could do it, but supported by the strength given by the artificial intelligence and analyzing a huge volume of data in order to provide you with a very personalized solution. So this is our ambition on the longer term. But for 2018, we will be happy if Jingo can be more proactive and can get in touch in an automated way.
Merci beaucoup à tous les deux.